Hi everybody, it's Kathy here, and I'm just saying thank you to you. These are the top 10 videos that you, my loyal subscribers, and anyone who watched liked the most. So we're going to do a countdown from 10 to number 1 of the most liked videos that you liked throughout January. And there were a lot of videos in January. I'm on leave during that month, and I want to say thank you for persevering with my sickness and my voice and the changes from video to video. You really are the people that make my channel what it is today. So if I do something that you like, please give me a thumbs up. And if you aren't already subscribed and you stumble across this and you watch through the video and I do something to inspire you, think about subscribing. I really do appreciate each and every one of you, each and every time you click on and watch my videos. So sit back, get your drink of choice, and let me know once again what it is that you liked the best about these videos so that I can keep giving you everything that you need. Unfortunately, I'm back to work now, so that means that the pace will slow down again for the next couple of months. But stay tuned around Easter, because that's when I'm on holidays again and it'll pick up. I promise I will maintain at least 3 or 4 videos a week, more if I can. But thank you once again for being my subscribers and staying loyal to my channel. Happy scrapping everybody, and enjoy each of these new, if you've never seen them before, or old but goodies. Thanks everybody. Happy scrapping.
Hi everybody, it's Kathy here, and I'm coming to you with a scrap a sketch challenge that Mel W from Mel W Walkden, Mel W Scrapping, and I are doing with the scrap sketch sketches, and we're going right back to the beginning, and that's sketch number 6 that we're working with today. And once a month we will be creating layouts to share with you using Lisa's amazing sketches that she has on her Facebook group. So I'll put all the details down below for Lisa's group and the details of the sketch, and also Mel's details so that you can go and check out what she has done with this one as well. So I am preparing my background, and I am using papers out of my kit that I created for How to Kill a Kit with Style. So that's a bonus as well, because I'm using up some of my papers. And I'm just creating squares that are 2 3/4 by 2 3/4 so that they fit within the frame. And I'm now fussy cutting out a strip of those baubles because I'm going to use those on the layout as well. So off screen I went and I distressed the edges of each of those squares. I didn't want to bore you with that whole process. You saw how I was using the Tim Holtz distress tool there to do that. And I have formed the grid background, as you can see on this layout now. Using the reverse sides of the papers, so I'm using the same papers up, I'm not wasting papers, and I'm using the reverse side because they have the strips and the checks on them. I'm creating the banner strips that were in that sketch. Now, I find that if I can utilize my papers well, I can incorporate the patterns so that they complement. They are all designed to complement, so that's how they work nicely together. Of course, I've gone with a Christmas theme because I still have so many Christmas photos to scrap, and that's okay. It's only January. That's what you should be doing in January, is getting all those photos from the previous Christmas done. So this is 2 photos that I took when we went through our Sydney walk through all of the lights in Sydney. And this was taken in the Queen Victoria building. And this is the giant tree that is in the centre of the building. So I have a photo here of my youngest daughter and I, and we were standing underneath that tree. And as you can see in the photo, it is just a gorgeous tree. Every year it's been a little bit different. This year is very different. In the past it's been a Swarovski tree with Swarovski crystals. This year it's just got the bauble decorations and stars and the lights, and it was very pretty. Pardon me. So those little baubles I have cut out of that strip that you saw me cut at the beginning, and I'm just using those as my embellishments on this layout. And I have the set of 3 down here at the bottom, like Lisa has in the bottom of her sketch, and I have added 1 up to the tags at the top. Just to add some interest, I'm going to pop singular baubles where they overlap the squares, so the squares will be joined. I'm not using all of them, but I am putting a few around the layout in a balanced way to create interest for you to look as you move around this layout. And you can see that the base of those baubles goes to one square and then overlaps onto the next square. I'm popping those up with foam tape to give them dimension and to make them really stand out against the layout. Now off screen, I swapped those baubles around. As you can see, I've taken the red one off the banners at the top and I put it down against the photo, and I put a green one up to the top. I'm now using some gold letters, gold alpha stickers, which are out of my kit as well. We have been asked to use alphas as a focus this month to burn up all our alphas, and it's a great opportunity. So I'm using these gold ones here to spell out the word charm, and then I have these little gold glittery stickers which I'm spelling out the word Christmas, so that my title is Christmas Charm. And that's pretty much what that tree is. It is a really pretty tree, and it is a bit of a charming place to go and visit at Christmas time, and is always our first tree stop when we do the city lights. After we park in Darling Harbour, we head straight up to the Queen Victoria building to the tree and have our photos there each year. So I've pretty much completed this layout. I'm just going to add in my date stamp down the bottom because it's important to remember the date. And I'm going to do some handwriting journaling on this bottom square, just as Lisa has on the sketch. And it just basically says that we were at the Queen Victoria building under the tree, and it was just Lily and myself. And so it's always nice to use your own handwriting on the layout when you can, because that too is an important feature of you and your story. So to finish off now on the white squares, I'm just going to add in some faux stitching to make them pop a little bit more, and I'm using a red fine line marker to do so. And that adds a little bit of extra detail, defining those squares, making them pop off that very dramatic and busy layout. Once I've done all those faux stitching there, I can then pull out my glitter paste, or my glimmers they're called. Sorry, I really couldn't remember. And I'm adding in the circles of 3. I'm going down the sides to the left on the opposite corners. Then I'm doing the opposite rights. And then I will do 3 across the top on those rows there. So it's a balanced effect with there. At the bottom, I'm going to add in 3 sets of 3 dots around that embellishment cluster at the bottom, and that is how I'm going to leave the rest of that embellishing. So here's the layout. It's pretty easy. It's a grid layout, nice and easy. You can do it for lots of different ways. If you go over to the Facebook group, you will see how this has been interpreted by many people. This is my interpretation of it. Mel, as I said, has done one as well, and I'll put her details down below. Go and check her out, leave some love, and let her know what you think of her layout. Hopefully I've done enough to give me a thumbs up, but also to inspire you to pull out your papers and have a go at scrapping. Remember, we're scrapping one layout at a time to record history one layout at a time. And this is my family history, and hopefully the history of the Queen Victoria tree each year. So happy scrapping until next time. Thanks for watching, and here's my next recommendation for you. See you in the next video. Hello, that's right, there is some hidden journaling through an interactive panel on this layout. Hi, it's Kathy, and we're doing the 52 weeks of 52 favourite photos YouTube Hop with Miranda Weber on our second week for 2025. This is my favourite photo for the week that I've chosen. Well, it's actually not for the week, but it's one of my favourite photos. It's a photo of Sydney Harbour at night time. I absolutely love the city, and I love Sydney Harbour in particular. And at night time, it just has this special magic. I love going down the city and seeing it, and I just love everything about the city. It's just a big vibe, and I get this really big buzz from it. So what I've done is I've made the background already. I put a border around it with some light tan cardstock. I've got this swirled paper, and I'm just adding in some ink splatters to put some mixed media into the background of this layout. So as I said, I'm making an interactive part for my layout. This is what I like to do with my hidden journaling. I don't want it to always necessarily be on the front of the page and taking away from the art that is that page. So I put it in underneath the photo, and how I do this is I create like a little file folder for it. So with the leftover cardstock that I gutted from that 12 by 12 to create the frame, I've put this little folder together, and it allows me to also put in extra photos that I want of the night, but I don't necessarily want on the main layout. So I'm just corner rounding the end of this cardboard, which will become a tab for the lift function on this folder, and it will sit on the page as a, well, it will look like a single folder, a single picture, but it actually will have multiple underneath. Now, as I said, Sydney Harbour is one of my favourite places, actually the whole city. I just have this vibe from it. From the time I was a young girl, but also particularly when I started first working, I worked in the city, and I just get this buzz of energy every time I hit Sydney. Our harbour is absolutely stunning. It is one of the best in the world, and people rave about it every time they come. And this night was no different. It was actually in the middle of winter in last year that I took this photo. I was down at the Opera House for a concert for school. I had children playing in the Opera House on recorders, and I went to watch as a school representative, and it was magnificent. But the fact that I was able to stand on the steps of the Opera House and shoot across to Sydney Harbour Bridge was amazing. And the city skyline, as you saw in those two other photos, is just magnificent. So that's why this is one of my favourites. That's why I love taking these type of photos. And this hop is a perfect opportunity for me to build my own layout of things that I like to take photos of and often don't get to scrap. So I don't know about you. Do you take photos like that you sit on your camera and you love them, but you think other people aren't going to be interested in them? Well, you should be scrapping them as well. You should look at your camera roll and find those photos that you took because you loved them and create an album for yourself. That was actually my son's idea for me, and I have taken that on board, and I'm doing that, and this hop is just contributing further to that personal album of likes. So I have cut a ring on my old Cricut. I used my very first Cricut Expression and a cartridge. It was a Close to My Heart cartridge that I used to cut that circle. And then I've cut these two waves also on my old Cricut, and I am just layering them up like a wave on this layout. Now, you can tell I'm sick. I'm not even concentrating on what I'm doing. I'm really struggling in getting this to work for me. I have a concept and I want it to work. It's just not coming together very easily. So there's my base that I've decided. I want the ring to be a circle to highlight the Sydney Harbour, and that it just puts that little bit of ring of confidence around that photo. I'm now just sealing it down that I am happy with where it's going to sit. Now, it's looking a little bit flat, so I'm going to add in an extra bit of colour, and I always use papers that reflect the colours of my photos, and that is why I've got these striped in the orange, and you can see that there's the pillars with the bone and the orange and the lights there. The only colour that I haven't picked up out of these photos is the red, and that's because that's the emergency security lights, and I really didn't want to reflect that. So I have left that onto the photo itself, but I've chosen all the blues and the blacks and the silvers and the whites and the greys to layer up this layout so that this photo pops off the page. I'm just going to tuck this one in underneath the wave, and then when you put that photo down, you can see that it just has like a square effect as though it's been there the whole way across the layout. I'm going to cut a 1-inch strip here, which I'm also going to layer under the photo on this side, but I don't want it to go all the way to the edge of that circle. I just want it to just hide in underneath and tuck out underneath. So I'm just going to tip this off and trade it off, and then I'm going to layer my photo on, and then I will be happy with that actual setting of this layout. Now, as I said, I use double-sided tape, and until I actually seal it right down at the end where I push everything down, it's still maneuverable on my layout. Sometimes when I maneuver it a few times too many, I have to then do another layer of tape, or I just pop in some glue to make sure that it stays stuck to the page. So there you go. It looks like a single mat, looks like a single folder with a file tab on the side, but underneath I've got extra photos, and I will be journaling in underneath there. Now, to embellish this, I've got a geotag, and I cut that also out on my Cricut, and I've used the coordinating papers from this layout to do the geotag. And I'm going old school. I'm going back to making some distressed, roughed up circle flowers. And what you do is you get 3 sized flowers, and you crumple up your paper like this, and then you flatten it back out, and it has all the wrinkles and all the bumps in it. And you then mix and match your layers, and you get a 3-layered embellishment. And I need to find a brad, so I'm just cutting out the smaller circles now, and I'm just going to do the same process again, and just then you can see that there's the 3 circles there. Off screen I continued doing that, and I found a brad, but I also went into that folder as you just saw, and I layered up some of the extra paper to decorate the inside of that journaling. Now, when I put these pages into my albums, I do put them into protective sleeves, but where that interactive is, I slice the protective sleeve and pull that through so that it's an interactive flap on the layout, and the layout is protected and it doesn't move because the slip is not that big and the photo holds it in place. Now I have this old sticker sheet, and I'm concentrating on the alphas, getting rid of my alphas. So I'm putting in a sticker title, which is very unusual for me, but I like the convenience of it actually, and I forgot how convenient it is to have stickers to layer up your titles. And this one says, I'm going to have as like no other, because there is no other harbour in the world like Sydney Harbour. It is just magnificent. Sailing in through the heads and coming across to seeing that harbour bridge, no matter what time of day, is just magnificent. Walking around the harbour's edge and looking at it. The world sees it on New Year's Eve when the fireworks go off. But there are so many times throughout Sydney's year that it is lit up beautifully, and I just love the water reflecting it. So what I'm doing now is I'm just adding in some faux stitching. Do you do that on your layouts? I like to do faux stitching to finish off my layouts. I just like to put that little bit extra to it to make it stand out, make the whole thing finished off, and instead of just sitting against the frame. And I'm decided that I'm just going to be true to me and do what I like doing best. I am putting down some glue to make sure those end pieces are stuck beautifully, like I said. So I'm just going to add in the date. Don't forget to do that. That's really important when you do your layouts, to put in the date at least. I am using some Pearl Nouveau drops now into 3 clusters here. They're setting up that visual triangle for the eye to roam around, and that's basically my layout. I do like how it has come together. I love the colours that I have chosen. I put them in around the layout strategically. I just added in a clear Nouveau there to make the lens stand and pop. So there you see the journaling inside and the decoration carrying on the pattern with the wave. It is to emulate the harbour bridge in the curve. That's how this has come together. I hope that there's something here that inspires you to grab your papers and have a go. And you know what? These papers I just found today, and I didn't even know when I bought them. I just thought, wow, how perfect for this photo are these papers. And I was just going through my stash. Do you do that too? If you do, leave me a comment. Let me know. How many papers have you found just by surfing your stash? Okay, like I said, this is like no other. There is a full playlist below. I can't wait to go and see what everybody else has done for their favourite photo of the week. Please give us a thumbs up and go and check out the rest of the plays. I'm sure you're going to be amazed with the talent that's out there. Thank you once again for watching, and happy scrapping till next time. Here's my next video recommendation that I reckon you should be watching. Hi everybody, it's Kathy here, and it is Sunday afternoon, so that means it is Scraplift Crafternoon time, our weekly Sunday hop where a group of us get together and lift a layout. This week we're lifting Lisa Cuneo. It's her birthday this one, and she is one of our own, so happy birthday Lisa, and thanks for the great inspiration for today's layout. Now I'm using a Vicky Burton Where To Next paper range to do this layout, plus a whole range of scraps that I have lying around in the same colour shades. So it could tie in nicely with Baby Got Scraps as well, but it's not. It's focusing on the Scraplift Crafternoon and Lisa's magnificent layout that we are lifting. Now I have pulled together a whole lot of different scraps that match colour-wise to my photos. These were not my original photos that I was going to do for this layout. Unfortunately, the ones I wanted have not been printed by the company because their machines were down. So I've gone with an alternate, Plan B, and I'm going with this Colour Fun Run recording of last year's event. So at school each year we have a Colour Fun Run. Our local, our parent body organises it, and somehow I get to oversee it. And it is a massive event for over 1,000 children, and it takes a lot of coordination and timing and so forth, and that becomes my little baby every single year. And this year in particular, it was a massive event, and so these photos are from that great day. I am putting them onto some different matted cardstock. Now, Lisa has single matte colours, and I've got multiple matte colours, and that's just to be reflective of the colours from the Colour Fun Run. So I have double matted all of them, and I'm using them on the layout as per hers. However, my photos are a little larger, so I've had to do a lot of manipulating, and you'll see that happen as I lay out this layout. So I put down that strip that she has on hers, and I'm putting down the bottom photo here. Now you will notice that throughout the layout that I will move that photo because I need to build these strips up a little bit more and move them down a bit more so that you can see them because of the size of my photo. But that's the beauty of double-sided tape. You can manipulate until you push it right down, and that I usually don't do until the very end. So I'm just trimming them down to 8 1/4 inches in length across, so they run across the page, and I'm using scorched timber here just to distress the edges a little bit to define them and lift them up off that flat background and give them some clear definition. Now, I've tried to stick pretty close to what Lisa had in her layout with the same sort of elements. The difficulty comes, of course, when you use photos that are slightly larger than what is in the original photo, but that's okay because the whole idea when you scrap lift is to make it yours, and that's what I've done here. So I'm just layering up those strips of paper that I tore, as you saw, and I do like using torn paper. It gives depth and interest to the layout, and that adds to the overall impression for the viewer of your page. So I'm just playing with the layout, and as you can see, I've just realised that the photos are quite large and therefore don't fit that space, so I've had to move everything down. I'm just going to tear off a little bit more there so that that pops onto that photo a bit more, and now I have enough space happening there, and I'm a bit happier with that. I'm just going to reduce the size of my top strip that I had, and that's going to be my title page, title place card as Lisa has on hers. And I'm just going to put it into place now. And the reason I'm putting all of these into place is because I'm going to add a few ink splatters onto it just to add some interest, because it is a little bit flat, it is a little bit monotony, and I want to put some interest and colour in to reflect the Colour Fun Run. Now this is a zip strip or a branding strip off the piece of scrap that I had, and I am tucking that into the edge there so that it goes over the edge of those papers and the photo, and it is the arrows, so it draws your eye down the page. So I'm going to add in some Tim Holtz Distress Spray here, and it is the vintage photo. I am so sorry about my voice, people. I am still very not well. I have no idea what it is. The doctor has no idea what it is. I'm on antibiotics, but it's not lifting at all. I have a suspicion that I am recovering from whooping cough, but we will wait and see. So anyway, I fussy cut out these letters from Lisa Sikorsky printable from Scrap-A-Sketch, and I'm putting the title Imagine Life as a Rainbow. And so I thought it was pretty apt for this layout and these photos. I'm using some Alton Create tags here, and I have some American Craft stickers to put in as well as part of my title. And all of these stickers and thickers and titles are coming from my How to Kill a Kit with Style kit for January, where we are focusing on using up our alphas. So here is another set of Cocoa Vanilla thickers that I'm using as well. So that's a few more out of my stash and onto layouts, and that's all we want to see happening. So as I said, Imagine Living Life as a Rainbow is my title, and I'm just putting them all in, and each of the letters are the colours that were reflected in the layout and my photos. And I'm pretty sure that's Chester the mascot there. I think that's his name. And I have got these little paint tubes that I'm adding as my 3 points. Lisa had butterflies, so I've put the paint tubes or paints of colour. I was going to put down here another piece of that striped apricot colour for my journaling, but I'm just journaling straight onto the layout because it fits perfectly with the background grid paper, and I like that it's in there and you can read it, and it's just telling the story that it's the Colour Fun Run, and we have that every year, and it becomes my big job, one of the big ones. I end up with all the big events to coordinate at school. So here's my layout. I'm very happy with how it's come out. Lisa's done an amazing job, and we're very lucky to be able to lift her work. Leave comments for everybody who's in the playlist, which I have listed down below. They have done an amazing job. Each and every single person interprets it differently, and it's always great to see what everybody else does. So I'm just adding in a few more little sayings and little quotes and little word phrasings, just to build up interest around the layout. These are all words around like happy, create, all of those sorts of things. And they're just that little bit extra that finish off nicely. So this one down the side has got like numbers because it's a countdown every year to the Colour Fun Run. The kids really like it. And that's basically how it's all come together. Just to finish off, I'm going to add my sets of 3 pops of colour, and I do love pops of colour because they can turn into faux enamel dots when you flick them underneath and flatten them out. And I've gone with the yellow to pick up the yellow in Chester and also the yellow in my photos there. And that's how this week's has come together. I really am happy that you stayed and persevered with my voice. I am so sorry that it is so croaky and at times drops in and out. Hopefully it's going to get better soon. It has been a long time. So if there's been anything here that you find that you'd like to try, please pull out your papers and have a go. Remember, paper tearing is so much fun. You just layer it on top of each other and it gives a dramatic effect to your layout. You can see how I've added in those little word phrases like your story. And that's it. Don't forget to check out everybody who's playing. They are a bunch of talented people, and Tara does a great job coordinating us every week. So give her some love and thanks for this great hop. I really appreciate your time. Make sure you check them all out. Thanks for watching. Happy scrapping till next time, and I'll see you next Sunday. Hi everybody, it's Kathy here, and I'm coming to you with a layout for Tara, the Paper Snob's Rainbow Crush YouTube and Instagram hop. Now this is new for 2025 and I'm pretty excited. We're going to be doing a monochromatic focus each month, and this time it is blue. So For January, we're using blue, and I've gone with some Vicky Bouton, of course, the colour queen of all paper, and I'm using her Colour Rush here from her paper pad, and that's going to be the basis for my layout of Hubbard Glacier. So I'm just trimming it down now because I'm going to build it up into the thirds, because 1/3 of it is going to be my panoramic photo of the glacier. So I have got a punch here, a border punch, which I'm using to punch out 2 borders, which I'm going to put top and bottom to the layout. And I'm doing it as a dotted scallop, just to add a little bit of interest to the layout. Monochromatic layouts always look very dramatic, and I like the ability to mix and match the colours. This side of this paper has got the polka dots on it, and I really do like that. It's a very subtle polka dot, whereas on the back it's got a very, very, very fine pinstripe. So the two complement each other nicely and fit on this page beautifully, going well with the photos that I've chosen to scrap today. So I have cut these down to 3/4 inches, and they, as I said, will go top and bottom. The other 2 strips are in 4-inch strips, and then of course my photo is also a panoramic, which is 12 by 4. So that will go right across the page, and then I have 2 other smaller photos which I'm also including on the layout. Now, this is a slowly built layout. I have got a base which I'm going to construct 1 step at a time, and then from there I'm going to put it all together, and then I can start to embellish it. Now, Tara, she is such a talented person, and there are lots of people playing along, so I can't wait to see what everybody else is creating for this. I like monochromatic layouts. They're a great way of emphasizing your photos, because you are choosing the color that is going to be the highlight of your photos, and therefore your photos will pop automatically on the layout. So I'm putting this strip down here to the bottom. That's a decorative border. I just thought I'd just add a little bit more. Sometimes with monochromatic it is a little bit challenging as well, to come up with ideas that are not going to clash but actually complement. So it does take a while to sort out your papers and decide what you're going to do. Look at that photo. Isn't it just stunning? That day was magic. We were so lucky. We sailed into Glacier Bay, and the sun was perfect, and the water was as still and as calm as like a pond. It was just amazing. It was cold. It doesn't look cold, but it was cold, but it looks brilliant. The colours are just magic and perfect for this rainbow crush for January. These are leftover pieces from a page that I've used previously, so that's why I'm saying this could fall into the Baby Got Scraps category as well. And I'm just building some interest across the layout to bring in that darker blue, and I've kept the dotted theme going through. Now, I, in the end, choose to make those squares smaller and to halve them into triangles so that they fit into that diamond pattern. So I wanted to do like a chevron-y diamond pattern across the layout as well. So you can see that the little pops of the lighter blue, I pick up the lighter blue in the photos, and that really makes those photos pop on this layout. Now, that is basically the background as I'm going to have it. Now, those 2 thin strips that I cut when I used the border punch, I'm also going to use those to go along the edge of my photo and tie down these little bits of blue that I'm going to add just for interest. I started with 1.5 inch by 1.5, and I brought it down to 1 inch by 1 inch. And then I cut them in half so that I had the triangles and I was able to put them onto the layout. Now, to make that easier and less messy, I've run it through my Xyron sticker maker. I love my Xyron sticker maker. It is the best tool. I would have to say it's my most prized tool. I love it, and it makes playing with smaller pieces that much easier to manipulate, particularly when you use the repositional tape. So I'm just tucking those into the little spaces, as you can see here, and that allows me to have those little points of interest and lets you draw your eye around the layout quite easily. Tucking one here on the corner, making sure that I go right across and draw your eye all the way around that layout. Now, with the monochromatic, you do need to go in your ombre effect. It really is an easy way of making sure that the layout works well, having light through to dark, and then just building around that combination. So I'm just putting in those little strips there, as you can see, to edge off my photo. That also gives a landing point for those ones I've tucked in behind. So the whole page now comes together nicely. I'm just going to trim off the edge of my photo here. It's a little bit over the side so that I have an equal edging for this layout. And I'm now going to put it to the 1-inch frame that I previously cut out of a very light blue basil cardstock, and I'm using that to frame my layout. That gives it extra strength, but it also gives it a finishing off effect, because I like to have a frame around my photos and my layouts. So I'm just doing it one strip at a time, and that is how I can ensure that it goes down evenly and flat and in the center. Alright, so we now come to the interesting part of the layout. I'm really sorry about my voice, and I'm just really trying very hard to get through this video. So please persevere with me. I'm sorry about this cold. It is lingering so long. I'm just a little bit annoyed that it's taking so long to shift. But what can you do? You just have to persevere. Alright, so I've gone through all my ephemera, and I've gone through lots of packs, and I pulled out anything that was in the blues and anything that related to this. So I have a little world globe there. I have a little film strip which I'm tucking in. I have some little sayings that say, not all who wander are lost. This is stunning moments, and then I have a little one down there that says return trip to Australia. So I thought that was a perfect little tag to put in there. I've gone and gotten some alphas. Now this ties into how to kill our kit with style, because this month we're focusing on alphas, and I've got these thicker chipboard white letters which I'm going to include here, and you saw me testing out whether I wanted it in the top panel or the bottom panel. It looks better down in the bottom. I gently put my titles to the top, but this one I've decided to go down here to the bottom. I love the swirly effect of these letters. They look just right on this layout, giving you the swirls and picking up the swirls in the clouds that you can see in the sky in those photos. I have done nothing to those photos. Those photos are just as they were on the day, taken through my phone camera. I didn't even use my really good camera. I've just used my phone, and I am so thrilled with how that has come together. Just adding in a date stamp because it was August last year. I can't believe that it was so long ago that I was in Alaska, but it was, and I like going back and reliving the memories. I've had these photos sitting here forever, ready to be scrapped, and this was the perfect opportunity. So I am contemplating, as you can see here, when I start playing with it, I'm thinking, is it enough? Do I need to do anything else to it? But I think the photos do enough for this layout. I think they tell us exactly the story. I don't need to journal on this page because there is a page where I have got journaling. As you can see, I've got a little tag up there. I've got my little cluster happening there. I have another little cluster happening down the bottom with the title and another little saying and quote there. And I think that's it for this layout. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate all my subscribers who keep coming back, and if you are new to my channel and you've only found it through the playlist today, please give me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so that you can follow the journey throughout the year as we do this Rainbow Crush all the way. Thanks Tara for organising this. I love a new challenge. Happy scrapping everybody. Here's my next video recommendation for you, and I'll see you in the next video. Hi everybody, it's Kathy here and I'm coming to you today for Scraplift Crafternoon because it is Sunday and in Australia, happy Australia Day. We're lifting Laura Malarkey today and this is her double layout, and I must admit when I first looked at it I was worried because I thought, oh, that's so cute for little babies and so forth, and I had no idea what I was going to do. But then I found that if I thought of it differently and just went by photo sizes, I was able to come up with an idea. So today's one I've done on a visit to the Sydney Zoo, and I was there with my daughter and the lions were playing beautifully that day, so I'm doing mine on those beautiful beasts. So I'm cutting in a border punch to the strip that I want to run across the layout like Lauren has on hers. She has it as a middle strip. I'm just going to put in the border punch because I just want to use up my border punches a bit more, and also because I want it to be a little bit more decorative. So this green is a scrap which I've been using for multiple layouts this week, and I just thought it would fit perfectly with the colour scheme of my photos. I have this strip here, this paper here, which is a grid type paper, and I'm just going to use that for mounting my photos. I'm going to put one on this wood grain leftover and one on these black and white stripes, and that colour coordinates across the layout. And just like Lauren has on hers, she has different papers mounting her photos, so that's what I'm doing here. So I have a photo with my daughter and I, a selfie that we took with the lion in the background, and then I have the beautiful photo of the lion who was looking straight at us at that time. So using my double-sided tape, I'm just getting everything ready to layer up, and I'm going to use scorched timber here just to distress the edges and lift it up off that background. Now I've chosen a floral background, but it's in the colours of the browns of the lions, so that's why I've chosen that. And then I've got the greens because of the grass. Now this piece here I actually totally wrecked, totally destroyed, because I measured incorrectly to start with. To start with, I should have just gone as 6 by 6, that would have been great. And then I forgot that the photos on the left hand side came to a total of 9 inches and I cut it at 7 inches, so it wasn't long enough anyway. So as I'm layering this all together, you'll see where I make the mistake and I have to actually go back and use the other piece, which for me is fortunate that it's not the same width of 6, which is fine with my photos, but to fit on the page and the layout properly it needed to be 5. So it was all a total mess, but I finally worked it out in the end. Now these photos are exactly 3 by 3, and the way I get my 3 by 3 photos is I choose my photos and I put them into an app called Layout, and then I make up a grid of 4, and then when I print them as 6 by 6, and then I can cut them down and that gives me my 3 by 3 photos. I found that to be my easiest way because I get all my photos printed by professional printers. I don't trust photos through a printer at home. Being a photographer, knowing that the chemicals aren't right, they're not set, they're not going to last forever because they aren't the right chemicals, they're just a printer. And printers fade over time. So I always get mine professionally printed. And yes, I have to wait for photos, and yes, I have to pre-plan for photos, but that's okay because I'd much rather that than have them fade as I used to when I used my old printers before and print from home. It just doesn't have the chemical set. It doesn't have that heat set, doesn't have that chemical reaction, and it's really important, that chemical reaction. So that's why I sometimes am behind with my photos because I have to wait for them to come from the printers. I've put in 4 across the right hand side one and 3 here on the left, just as the original called for, and then I've put in that border strip that I cut, And now this is where I realise I've made a big mistake. And I flip it around and I think, does it fit that way? If I cut it, does it work? Nope, I'm short again. And I realise, and you can see I totally butcher that piece of paper, which in the end is okay because I use it for something else. But I'm so short and so wrong, I have to actually, I go off screen to think about it because I make a mistake. So I'm really sorry. But when I come back on screen, I've got it right now. I have cut it down to 5 and it is 9 across there. So I can put this one into place here. As I said, this is the photo of my daughter and I. You can see actually how ill I look in that photo. I didn't realise at the time how ill I was, but the next day was the day I went to the hospital and was diagnosed with whooping cough. But anyway, that's in the past. So I'm slowly getting better. And I'm glad to have been able to at least get these photos. I've die cut these embellishments, which I'm putting into the layout. I love this lion on the heartbeat. I think that that's fantastic. And I put this lion here to the top, but I realised that it's actually not going to work for me there. Lauren has a heart there in the middle of there. I've put a single photo, not a double photo, but it's the same concept. So I move that line across there and I still need something there. So I go off through my stash and I find this journal card. And it says today and it's in the right colour, so I think that's perfect, and I just add that to that spot there. While I was away, I also die cut these ash leaves. I love this die. It's my best metal die at the moment. It's one of my favourites. I use it for lots of things. They're called ash leaves, but they do remind me of some of our eucalypt leaves as well, so I've just put those in behind the lion there. I'm going to put this line up here where Lauren had her heart, and I'm going to run the leaves down the page there to continue that foliage across the page. This black lion face die cut I cut out on my Cricut, and I absolutely love it. It reminds me of Mufasa every time I look at it, and I'm just putting that there, or Simba, the Lion King. And then I'm just going to layer this lion over the foliage here, and that has the main elements that Lauren had on hers covered. Now it's looking a little bit flat to me, so I'm just going to add in, instead of some stickers and puffy sticker hearts and things, I'm just going to put in some lion claw prints, and I'm just going to build those at different points around the layout. So I'm using those as accents as opposed to hearts or enamel dots. And I've got 5 of them that I'm going to put across the layout because, you know, I like odds and I really find odds pleasing, but that's a really natural thing for it to be pleasing because the Fibonacci number and everything in nature is at odds. So it's because it just balances, which you wouldn't think with odds. You'd think evens would be the balance, but in nature, no. The odds are the primes, 1, 3s, 5s, 7s, because I don't know why, actually. I did read it once, I've forgotten, but there's a reason why. And when you do things like this and you put them in the odds, your eye actually just naturally roams across the layout. So I'm putting in the title here using these stickers, and they're in the gold, and I'm calling it Majestic Monarchs because these lions were just purely magic. We got there just after they'd been fed, and they were quite active and roaming their enclosure, and then they started to roar, and it is such a guttural sound that it actually resonates through your body, and you can feel it through your natural heartbeat and everything. It's so natural and organic. It's just amazing, like seriously amazing, the sound they make when they are being very vocal. So I've just written that basically into my journal, saying that we're at Sydney Zoo and that the lions have just been fed and they're being very active and very vocal, and it is quite amazing to listen to. So I'm adding in some faux stitching here. I like to finish off my layouts I was looking at it and it was very flat still, so I've drawn in a border. I've added in like the dotted stitching here, like a running stitch, and then I've got faux stitching in the other panel, and then I have the straight line border finishing off the layout so that it has that completed look or completed feel. Well, I like that completed feel, that's what I like. Just going to put in the date of when we went there so that in the future I can remember, and anyone else that sees my layout will remember, and my daughter, she will have that as well. And I'm really pleased with how this has come together so far. I like the bits there, but I'm going to put in the 3 dots, or an ellipses as it's called. You didn't know you were getting a literacy lesson here, did you? Sorry, back again, just had a bit of a coughing fit. Okay, so as I said, it was an ellipses, which means that there's more to come. So there will be more layouts from these animals to come. So I'm adding in some Nuvo drops here. I really do like to use Nuvo drops. I wasn't going to, but I just couldn't help myself. I have to. I just feel that every layout I just need to add them. It's just me. It's just a little trick that I have. I hope that I'm doing something that's appealing to you. I just want to say thank you to all my subscribers, and for all of you who are watching still through to this point. Thank you so much. You make it worth doing all of these layouts and sharing with you. I love scrapbooking, and I feel that this is a great craft and a great way of preserving family memories. I hope that I've done something to impress you, and if you aren't already a subscriber, please consider hitting the subscribe button. If you are, thank you once again for being my subscriber. There will be a full playlist down below. I want you to go and check out the other people. They are so talented. I'm just a beginner. They are amazing. You will be very inspired, and you'll find lots to do. As you can see, there's my die cuts and the Nuvo drops, the lion. I love how it's turned out. Those photos are just majestic, and I just love this, how it came together. As I said at the beginning, I was a little unsure how this was going to work for me, but I really am very happy with the final outcome. If you like this or anything else, please give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, leave me a comment. I'll get back to you, I promise. You can find all of these and my other layouts on my Instagram as well. Don't forget to check out that playlist. There are some very talented people. I really appreciate your time. Thanks for watching. Happy scrapping till next time, and here's my next recommendation for you. Hi everybody, it's Kathy here, and it is Sunday afternoon. So we are doing a Scraplift Crafternoon lift of the amazing layout that Wendy Egan has given us permission to use this week. So the tribe and I are going to lift this layout, and I'm sure that the others are going to have some amazing things for you to see, and I suggest that you use the playlist down below to go and check them all out. I'm really sorry. I will try and get through this video without too many stops. I'm having a bit of a problem with my throat today. So I have cut out a 1-inch frame to go around outside, and I'm using the inner as my smaller triangle you'll find on this layout. I'm going to distress the edges of this wood grain. I went with a wood grain base. I struggle with a white base. I just can't do it. I don't know why. I just struggle with so much white space. So I have then gone through and selected some coloured different pattern papers that are all from my stash, and I'm cutting this one down to 10.5 by 10.5. And then I fold it in half to make the point so that I can cut the triangle. I really struggle cutting triangles for layouts. I want them to be correct, and I often struggle in getting that happening, and I was really worried about this layout that was going to happen again today. So this one here I now drop down to 9.5 by 9.5. Once again folded, put a mark in the centre and cut the triangle. And this one is down to 8.5 by 8.5. So I have my 3 separate triangles, just as Wendy has on her amazing layout. Now, I noticed that she had strips under each of her triangles, and so this is where those branding strips come into play, and I'm just going to edge each of the triangles with my scorched timber. I really do like this ink. It's a great smoky effect on the edges of your papers, and it just lifts them up off that background and gives them a little bit of definition, I think. Remember, this is my personal opinion and this is how I like it. You may like it just sitting flat on the layout, and that's great as well. We all do what we like when we're doing our layouts. So I'm going to put this down onto my frame because I like to have a frame around the outside of my layouts. It just feels finished for me. So I am not doing it as I normally do. Normally I only do one at a time, but this is pretty flat and it's quite solid, so I'm able to lay it without too much ripple in it. I'm going to put down my first one. Now, the adhesives today are struggling because here in Sydney it's very muggy and very hot, and when it's like that, all of the adhesives struggle. Now, as I said, I noticed that she has got some strips at the bottom of her triangles, so I'm just going through my collection of branding strips to ferret out a few that match the colours of the papers I've chosen. This is why I keep all my branding strips, because they come in handy for things like this. And you'll see that I pull out quite a few, and I'm going to choose the ones most relevant for what I need for this layout. I'm going to put down my next one here, which is a denim look piece of paper, and this one is a Scrapbook Fantasy one. The one at the bottom is a pink fresh piece of paper, and I know that the top one that I'm putting on here now, that's a Got SAcraps. So it just shows that I mix and match my papers. I don't use the same brand for a lot of mine because I don't buy a lot in full kit brands. I just buy single sheets because I like the pattern, and then I marry colours. So I'm just cutting down those strips, and as you can see, that was the branding strip from one of the Got SAcraps. And I'm going to add this one here that's got the teal in it, that picks up the teal from the bottom paper, and I'm going to put that at the bottom of that triangle. And I noticed that it looks a little bit wonky there, so I do go and fix that up. And then I struggle with the one at the bottom, and so I need to look for another one. I don't like the ones that I've pulled, so I go back to my strips and I look for one that will pick up the colours of my photo, and that's when I realise that that one's not actually straight, so I go back and fix it up. And it's still a little bit not right, but I fix there. And I think what's going is, like I said, it's the pattern of the dots and the denim that's throwing me there. So I've put my photo there so I can actually find a strip that I think is going to better marry with the colours in the photo. The sky, I could possibly use that one because it's got the wave effect in it. But then I go through and I contemplate a film strip one, but I find this one, and I think that when you look at it, it actually looks better and marries nicer with the whole overall effect of this layout. So there I have my 3 triangle strips in, and they've all come from my branding strips that I've kept. I have a whole heap of them, and they do come into play, which is very useful. So I have this strip here that's got these beautiful orange flowers on it, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim it down, and you'll watch. I trim this down, and you see that I line it up, and I use my cutter, and it's all straight, yet when I go and put the photo down, it's not straight. So that's a thing with whiskers. I'm finding that the plates warp, and when I use the cutter, it sometimes requires extra cutting. So that's why I sometimes cut my mats bigger, because I know that there is a warp in it, and I need to actually compensate for it. So I trimmed that photo down just a little bit because it was a little bit too large. I took off a 1/4 of an inch both sides and 1/4 of an inch at the bottom. I'm now just trimming this up with the photo in line so that it is now straight, and you can see that that's made a big difference. Now that I've done that, I'm going to use this frame, and who knew that I had some 49 and market frames, because I didn't, but I was going through my stash and I found some, and they were the right colours, so I'm just tucking those in behind there to add an extra framing behind my photo. So I'm trying to keep very, very true to Wendy's layout, but I am varying a little bit in the fact that my photo is so big. But that's okay. That's the whole idea about scrap lifting. You take elements that you find relevant for you and you build on them and create from there. So I've just gone shopping once again through my ephemera and looked for things that would complement the colour scheme. I've got the title there, say "Keep Going Sunshine," and I've picked out this word "you are," and I have this washi tape that says on it "you are awesome." So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim that down and put that in there as well. This is my daughter. We're at Stanmore Park Beach here. She struggles in confidence. She's absolutely stunning, but she struggles so much in confidence. And she's just started her trade. So she's gone from being a princess retailer, working in a men's shop, mind you, princess retailer, to a, well, princess tradie, but she's being a landscape gardener. So she's learning that art, but she's loving every minute of it, slowly rebuilding her confidence in herself. And it's a shame because she is absolutely stunning, but she has no confidence at all. So I'm just tucking in some little blue flowers to reflect the colours in the photo, and I'm just tucking those into those clusters to draw your eye around. I'm going to put the third one up there to bulk that one up as well. So now I have got that happening. I'm just going to pop two little butterflies on and to bulk out those two cluster points. And then Wendy has some stitching on hers, so I have got my stitching stamps, and I'm going to add those to the triangle. I don't know where my stamping block is at the moment, so I've pulled out my cutting plate or my embossing plate, and I'm just using it to hold my stamp so that I can add the stitching to the triangle. I've got a masking sheet to cover where I don't want the stamping to go, and I'm just adding a little bit extra, and that's the beauty of it. You can do the same, you can add more, you can add less, you don't even have to put stitching. But I like the stitching on it. It finishes it off, and I like the fact that this stamp is a sort of a fishbone stamp of stitching. So, and I'm just going to add a little bit extra along there because that's just me. I need to balance it out for myself, and I'm adding that into that section there. So I really do like how this is coming together. I like that stitching, and I think it just finishes it off nicely. I have these multifaceted flat back beady type stickers, and I'm going to use those to bulk up my clusters just as Wendy has as her enamel pieces, and I'm just adding those around the layout there, and that's how it's coming together. To finish it off, I'm just going to add some splatters to the top and around the layout. I just want to have a little bit more. As I said, I struggle with white space. I just also like the effect that that has, given that it's at the beach. It's like the splashes of the water and the waves. So I really am pleased with how this has come out. I will tell you that I really thought that I was going to have a hard time in producing anything halfway decent. So I am quite pleasantly surprised at this layout and very, very pleased. So you can see here the cluster at the top that I built around the corner of that photo, down there into the title and those stamping onto the triangles, and you can see the splatters there. You can see the different dimension. It is a little bit lumpy bumpy, but not too much, and I really am pleased with how that came out. So I hope that I've done something here today to inspire you to get out your pieces of paper and have a go. Remember, everything is there for the lifting. Please go and check out the playlist down below. All the girls are playing. Tara has done a great job organising us each week, and everybody chooses great layouts to lift. So thank you for watching. Happy scrapping till next time, and here's my next video recommendation for you. Hello, how are you today? It's Kathy here, and I'm joining in the 500 subscriber celebration hop that Lisa Punio is having, my scrapbook table here on YouTube, for her 500 subscriber achievement. What an amazing achievement. Well done, Lisa. I'm so excited to be part of this hop. That's an amazing achievement, 500 subscribers, something we all aim for, and she's achieved it, so well done. She asked us to follow a recipe for this hop, and we had a choice of wood grain or mixed media, so of course I went for wood grain. Then we had a choice of stencil or stamping, so I'm going with stenciling here, and I'm using white picket fence. My wood grain is a navy blue that I got from a SAcraps range. Everyone knows I love wood grain, so that was an obvious choice. We then have a choice of acrylic or enamel dots, but I've gone with an acrylic edition. And then we had to have a big title or lots of journaling, and I've gone with a big title. So as I said, I'm using stenciling here with picket fence. It's Distress Oxide from Tim Holtz, and I like the white on the darker colours. I'm just going to add a few extras at the top. I am using a Scrapper Sketch stencil here, which is really good from the Lisa Sikorsky. So I'll put all her details down in the box as well. This, of course, I'm using as the flat background, so I'm just going to put a white edge to it because you all know I can't cope with just the plain edge of the cardstock or the pattern paper, so I just add that to add my edging and finishing off the layout. So it was a tough choice. I like mixed media, but I really love wood grain. So for the picture that I've chosen here of my daughter, it was better option to go with the wood grain and build the different patterns in through all of the scrap papers that I'm using to layer up and build the design. Now I have printed a 4x8 panoramic shot here. And this was taken recently, my one and only beach visit this summer due to this ongoing illness. And I'm doing a double matting there, and all of those were scraps, so they could put me into Baby's Got Scraps, but we're here celebrating Lisa. And then I am using a mix of SAcraps and Vicky Burton and leftover scraps to create a grid pattern behind my photo. Now I'm going to keep that zip strip, branding strip, whatever you're calling them, and I'm going to put that to the side because I will use that on another layout at a different time. And you just saw I made a mistake there. I cut that one a little bit too short, but that's okay. It'll sit to the side because it's got a butterfly. It's got something that I want on it, and I'll use later. So I'm going to cut out this part here with the Vicky Burton's butterflies on the back, and I actually will be fussy cutting some of the butterflies there, but I wanted the apricot peachy colour because that picks up the rocks in the photo. As I always do, I tend to look at the colours in my photo to guide my paper choices, and then that lets me choose my colours and makes the photo stand out. Now the swirly paper and the geometric paper I've recently used on another layout, so as I said, they could have gone into Baby's Got Scraps, but I'm just using them here to create this layout for Lisa's hop. There are a lot of talented people playing along today. We're wishing Lisa a happy birthday as well because it's her actual birthday, and so it's a big celebration for her. You have to agree, if you've been watching any of her videos, she's very, very clever at the things that she does, and I've learnt quite a lot from her. So please go and check her out. She does have a giveaway for this. She's got a surprise for you, so go and check it out. Make sure you leave comments and a thumbs up for everybody because it's always nice to open up your YouTube and find those responses from your followers or people who have watched your video content. All right, so I'm now going to build up my layers here behind my photo, and I've got a whole range of different things, and it's about my daughter. She's just she left school, wasn't sure of what she was going to do. She'd gone through high school and done her retail certificate. She'd done her beauty certificate. She ended up doing retail, and she was working in a men's retail shop, you know, sizing suits and doing all those things. But after a while, she realised that that's not where she wanted to end up. And just recently, she signed up, and she's now the beautiful blonde with the long nails and the long lashes, a tradie. So she started her trade as, get this, a landscape gardener. So not only did she go from beauty to retail and looking glamorous every single day, to now being a tradie and living the life of a tradie. And trust me, she has adapted well to that world. Still has the long nails, still has the long lashes, still has the long blonde hair, but is loving every day of the hard physical labour. So very bizarre, but yep, and her boss have hit it off so well. So that she's on a new destination. Where that will lead her, who knows, but she's taking that next step, and I'm proud of her and glad she's doing something she wants to do. Pardon me, I'll try not to cough too many times. This whatever it is, the doctors don't even know what it is just very annoying. So I'm very sorry if I cough throughout. I'll try very hard not to. Okay, so I'm building up my title, and remember, one of the choices was to have a long title or journaling. Now, the way to do a long titling, you can see that I've got destination unknown. So what I'm doing is I'm just building on from that. And so this one, I'm using these stickers up, and I'm calling it On the Brink of a Destination Unknown. So it's a really long title. It's not one that I normally do, but I like, and it worked well for this photo and for what it was representing. So she's on the brink of a destination unknown. Now, that's the best thing about being a tradie. You never know where it's going to lead you next. And so you build up your skills, and you build up, and then you head off. And that's what I'm proud of her about. So I was going to use enamel dots, but I couldn't find any that matched. So I then found these gold acrylic shapes, which are perfect because it says acrylic shapes. So that's what I'm using. And I've got hearts, and I do 3 hearts there. And then I add in, because I'm just not happy with just that on there. It's just looking a little bit funny with those. So I'm going to add in some circles as well. Not many, just a couple, just to build up those points of interest around the page. So I have got odd acrylics, you will see there, because I had the 3 hearts and I only added 2 of the circles. So that made odd acrylics, so that was balanced. I have the 3 cluster points with the 3 butterflies, so that you are roaming around that page nice and easily with your eye. Now I'm just adding some faux stitching. I don't know about you, but I like to finish off my layouts, and sometimes in doing the process I forget, and I look back at layouts and I think, what was I thinking? So I really like to finish off my layouts with either some faux stitching or messy borders if I haven't put a frame into it. So that's just a personal preference. Do you have one for you? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd like to know what you do to finish off your layouts. So I'm pretty happy with how this has turned out so far. There's the stenciling that met the criteria. It is on the wood grain. You can see that I have got the clusters, the long heading is there, and the acrylic pieces. So I'm pretty excited with this layout. I like the size of the photo. It's a great size photo. I think I'll use that a bit more often. And once again, congratulations, Lisa. 500 subscribers is a massive achievement, something we all aim for, and you've managed to achieve it. So well done. The playlist, as I've indicated, is down below. Go and check out, everybody. Hopefully I've done something to inspire you to get your papers out today and get a little bit creative. Thanks for watching, everybody. Here's my next recommendation for you, and happy scrapping until next time. Hi everybody, it's Kathy here, and I'm playing along with Baby Got Scraps today, but I'm also creating this layout for one on Ginger's Hops over on Facebook, the Art Heist. And we have to scrap lift one of the captains on Ginger's teams, and this layout is one of those. So I'm going to use up all scraps, as you can see. So I have a plain white background that I'm going to build on, and I'm just going to start layering up all of the different pieces of papers that I've pulled out of my scrap pile or my leftover pile. I like that we call them scraps, but they're actually leftovers. I'm going to put in the tearing as per the layout that Ginger has put up as an inspiration piece, and I'm just pulling it all together onto this layout. I have had this paper sitting around for a bit when I was working on some of my Alaska photos, so I'm just putting it to use here. I love this wood grain paper. I like that it's the white blending to the greys to the reds, and I'm just tearing in some grey striped paper underneath. Using your nail is a great way of roughing up the edges or distressing the paper edges. Paper tearing is always a great effect on the layout. I like to do it often. Sometimes I keep them clean edges, and sometimes I like to tear and distress, which adds another element of detail or an element of interest to your layout. I'm just going to layer these in underneath each other by tucking them in, and you'll see that this bottom one I actually put down on the wrong side, even though I first mapped it out on the right side, and then I had to go back before I put the photo down and rechange it. And that's the beauty of using the double-sided tape. Until I actually press it right down hard, I can actually lift it and manipulate it. And I don't usually tend to press it down into full place until I'm happy with the layout. So I'm just putting a bit of an extra strip here because I know that this is longer than the 12 by 12 and I'm going to have to trim it down. That's very important as well when you're doing things, to make sure that you can manipulate your papers and get the best out of them. So I did move it again, and I still didn't put it into the right place, but after a while I realized that it's in the wrong section of that layout. So I'm just putting in this top one here. So now I have a top and bottom horizontal band going across. I have the middle splash of red, which is important for the photo. It is going to be a Christmas layout. January always ends up with lots of my Christmas photos being done. That's because that's the time that I get them printed, and I want to actually focus on doing them, because for many years I've had loads and loads and loads of photos for Christmas that just sat in the camera or sat printed but not scrapped. Oh, pardon me, I really am sorry, but I'm going to have to stop for a second. Back again, sorry about that. This cold, this flu, whatever it is really getting me. I've been to the doctor, no idea what it is. The antibiotics don't seem to be working. But anyway, I'll just persevere. So I apologise for my voice in these videos. I'm hoping it goes soon. So what I'm doing now is I'm just layering up all of the embellishments that I pulled, and I pulled them in the reds and the blacks and the whites because I wanted to copy the colours of the wood grain here. This photo of myself is outside the barn in Martin Place at Christmas, where we had our Santa photo. This year we chose to have the photo taken at Martin Place. They had this barn set up, and it was like Santa's workshop barn. It was really cool. It was something different. I always look for a different place for our family photos. Generally, we've been using Maya. Last year we were up at the Hunter Valley, and we did it in the Hunter Valley Gardens. So this year we did it at the Martin Place barn, and it was great. And I was just sitting down outside the mailbox, because I always take a photo of Santa mailboxes wherever I see them, because that's another little like of mine. And what I'm doing now is I'm just adding in some gold shimmers to build the 3 visual points on the layout to draw your eye around. I've put in the stars. I'm now also going to use my gold pen, which is going to add some gold sparkle to the middle of these embellishments, highlighting the stars here, and making them stand out against the background with some shimmer. Hard to see in the video, but in real life they do have a little bit of a shimmer to them, and that's adding that Christmas magic to the layout. To me, it is the most wonderful time of the year. Everybody who knows me knows I love Christmas, and I'm on the countdown for it. I have always loved Christmas. It's not a new thing as I've gotten older. It is something that I've always loved. And it's a bit of a running joke at work about how quickly before I can start wearing my Christmas shirts to school and so forth. So there's my layout. It's a quick and simple one today. That's what scrap lifts are meant to be. They're meant to inspire. They're meant to get you thinking creatively and quickly. I've put my little journaling there in the tag, and this is how it's come together. Now, please feel free to scrap lift anything I put up. I'm more than happy for you to do that. I hope this inspires you to get out your papers. Think creatively with those leftover scraps. You love them once, use them again. They'll make a beautiful layout. And if you want to see more, follow the playlist down below where people are getting very creative with their scraps this month. Thanks once again for watching. Hopefully I'm better soon. I'm also playing along with Jumpstart Boogie Bash in Bash Your Stash on Facebook, and I'll put the links down below. Thanks for watching. Happy scrapping. Till next time. And here's my next video for you. Hi everybody, it's Kathy here, and I'm coming to you with a Scrapbook Fantasies design creative team layout that I've done using Boho Beauty. These papers are from Alicia Bradshaw, who is an Australian creator, designer and producer of these papers, and I'll leave all the details for Scrapbook Fantasies down below. And I'm using this Boho Beauty on this blue side, the teal side. I'm using the gold as well. I'm going to fussy cut flowers out of the other papers, and I will leave all of the details of the papers listed down below. So you can buy these at their shop, and they will deliver worldwide. I'm also going to use the Boho Beauty vellum, and I'm cutting the leaves from that. I'm going to use this purple side to create some of my diamonds that I'm having on this layout. And as I said, I'm cutting the flowers from that, and you'll see how this all comes together. Now, I also created this layout to be a part of the Scrapbook Fantasies Cyber Crop for January, where we had to use lots of diamonds. So I've gone through chipboard pieces that are from Scrapbook Fantasies as well, in their Chippies of the Month Club. Very well worth the money, I can tell you. And I am just going to paint them. I'm using Tim Holtz Distress Stain White, but because of the colours on my mat already, and this is added bonus really, it picked up some of the tints of the oxides in the sprays that I use on this mat. And so I've got some that are blue, some that are pink tinged, some that are coppery tinged, and that's beautiful for this layout because that's the perfect colours that I need to build this layout. So as you see, I moved over to this side and I picked up some of the pinks, and that ties in beautifully with the overall layout. Now these chipboards are really good quality. They're very well cut out, and they are amazing additions for your layouts. So you need to check those out as well, and I'll have those details down in the box below. So I've got the two starfish. I've got the title that says, which will say Sisters Forever or Forever Sisters, and then I've got Little Sis and Big Sis, because the photo is of two of my daughters, my eldest daughter and my youngest daughter. And what I'm doing now is I'm just adding in some Dina Wakley gilt stain here to add the splatters. I really do like this range of sprays that Dina has, because they are opaque, which means that they're thicker and they leave a lasting, more definite colour to what you are adding them to. Alright, so I'm now just trimming down this to a 3/4 inch border, not a 1/4 inch, a 3/4 inch with the gold for the outside, and I'm having the teal for the inside, and that's forming my base. I'm using 1 inch, I'm using Express-It tape, which you can also get at Scrapbook Fantasies, but it is the best tape and it holds forever. So that's really good quality if you're looking for an adhesive that is going to last the test of time. I'm cutting out 1 inch by 1 inch squares, which I'm then going to turn on the sides to make into diamonds. And I cut that out from the gold side because I want this gold side. And I have more of the gold because I want to pick up the gold of the beach, the sands, the tones of the sandstone in the rocks. So I'm just making sure that I have enough of these because they will be the main part of this design. I'm going to take out a strip of this red and white, which is the reverse side of those flowers, and because I'd already cut into that sheet before, I'm just going to use the same sheet without cutting up another sheet. So could be in Baby's Got Scraps because I'm using up scraps. I'm using this blue, the reverse side with the feathers on the other side, but I'm using the blue because I want that contrast. And then I cut out some wood grain and some of the purple. What I'm doing now is I'm roughing up the edges, and I do that for all of the squares because I want it to have a little bit of definition and a little bit of detail, because I don't want them just sitting flat against the background. Now I'll show you how I'm roughing them up, and then I'll go off screen in a moment and I will complete that whole process. Now that I've done that, I'm lining up my first line of these diamonds, and as I said, it was for a challenge on Scrapbook Fantasies as well, where I had to use lots of diamonds, so this worked perfectly for this design. And once you have your first line in, putting the rest in is just a matter of placing them along and building up your structure as to how you would like it. Now I wanted the gold as the main feature here because it is the beach, and I did want to leave a gap around it so that I do have that blue showing, so I removed that top one, and that's as high as I want to go with this design. Now I'm putting in the purples so that I'm building up that ombre effect across the diamond patterns. Pardon me. And I am mixing them up so that they have multiple different shades across the page, not just one in one whole shade. You could, if you wanted a monochromatic design, have it one shade. You could have it just the one colour as your diamonds, but I'm choosing to go with this ombre effect. Now I'm moving over to the right hand side and I'm going with the deeper maroon colours. Now all of these papers are from the Boho collection. Sorry about that little interruption there with my computer. Just keeping an eye on some work schedules as well. So I'm just pulling this together, and then I'm putting in the red, so you can see how the deeper purples and the maroons in that layout are coming together with these reds over to the right hand side. So when you're placing your diamonds into this pattern, it's always good if you are doing a colour blending that they marry across smoothly and that the colours marry in nicely. Now you see I'm testing where the photo is going because I'm going to remove some of the diamonds and leave them blank so that I can stretch them across the page without having to go and cut more. I could go and cut more, but I know that the photo is going to cover up that area there. I'm just finishing up with the golds at the top and the bottoms, and I'm putting the blue to the both sides. I'm going to remove that red one there, and I'm going to bring it down here into the space because I know the photo will cover up that space. I'm putting the blue across here, and I realize that I'm actually quite a few short, so I do go off screen and cut some more. And now that I've done that, I'm adding in some of those gold flecks which I used on the chipboard, and I'm also going to add in some white splatters as well to reflect the wave foam. Now this photo, as I said, is of my eldest daughter and my youngest daughter when we were at the beach recently. I took this photo while they were out watching the waves. I love the colours in it, and this Boho Beauty paper range just marries beautifully with that photo. So I create this title Forever Sisters out of the chipboard, and then I'm using the vellum leaves that I cut from that vellum sheet to build height in these clusters, and I'm tucking in the flowers from that Boho sheet that I fussy cut to build that cluster in the 3 points on the layout to create the visual triangle. Now I like to play with my clusters until I'm happy with the overall effect. that the balance is correct. And I've gone off screen and I have glued those all into place. Now that I'm happy with that, I'm adding in my Nuvo drops, and I'm going with a white pearl and I'm putting them into 3 points around the clusters so that I have that visual triangle well and truly established across the page. Once that's done, I'm just going to hand write that it was our first beach summer day for the 24-25 season. It's pretty good that we actually got a day in, because ever since then we've had warm days in the morning and then rain, so we haven't actually been able to head back to the beach. Plus I haven't been well since that time. I'm hoping that it will shake soon so that I can, before I go back to work, get at least another one, if not a few more beach days in. I do love the beach, and the girls have always been beach babes as well, particularly the youngest one. She loves the water. So I'm using a white gel pen, and sometimes they work really easily and sometimes I have a struggle with them, and I think it's to do with the temperature. And when I'm working on this one, it is quite a muggy day, and so it's a bit stiff in coming out of the pen with the gel ink there. So that's my layout. This is, as I said, a Scrapbook Fantasies creative team layout. It's very simple, it's effective. I hope I've talked you through the process. Please check out Scrapbook Fantasies and their design range called Boho Beauty. It is beautiful. It is a great paper range to use. You can see the detail and the colour. It's just rich and beautiful when it's in natural sunlight. You can see how lovely this has come together, and I'm glad that you stayed and watched it through. Hopefully I've done something to earn a thumbs up from you. Don't forget to go and check out the Facebook group. Thanks for watching. Happy scrapping till next time, and here's my next video for you. Hey everybody, it's Kathy here, and I'm playing along today with Baby Got Scraps. So I'm using up some of my scraps from my Scrapbook Fantasies creations, and I'm building a layout. So I am allowed to have a base page in the scraps. So I've got this Boho Beauty base as my layout structure. And that black frame I've had for a while sitting in a box, so that's a scrap, and I'm putting it together. All of the pieces that I've cut out on my Cricut have come from scraps as well, and I have mounted my photo on scraps, or matted my photo with a double amount of scraps. So you can see that I have cut these balloons on my Cricut using scrap cardstock that I've had laying around. I do want to give a nod to Helen Ding, who did an amazing layout recently with her photo and a giant balloon cutout die in the background, and that's what gave me the idea to try this one. So thank you, Helen, for your inspiration. I'm using this Boho Beauty leftover scrap of the wood frame, which is the reverse side of my base, and I'm using that as an anchor point on this layout. Now, this photo is of my daughter. We were in the city and we went into Maya, and they had this great Wicked display because Wicked is so big and being promoted everywhere, particularly just before Christmas. And so she was back to her old usual happy-go-lucky self, and when she was growing up, everywhere we went, she would love to throw these poses where she would kick her leg up and have the pose done. So it was nice to see she was being young and youthful again, and so I took that photo, and this is the layout that I'm creating for it. So I'm just going to add some smooching here. I was looking for my water spray bottle, but I'm not sure where it is at the moment, so I've just gone the old way and got my watercolour palette water and just added a few drops to lighten up that moss coloured, I think it's called, I can't even remember the name of it, I have to look it up, and it was the one that I used to smooch across here and put some shading into the background of this layout to create a focal point for my photos. it's actually, I can't even find out what the name is. That's so bad. Anyway, I've got it here somewhere in the stack of inks sitting on my desk, and I will find it and I will put the name down below. And I'm just smooching it in behind the balloons there just to create a shadowing effect to give it a glow, because I want it to glow a little bit like magic, like Wizard of Oz itself. That's always the great effect you can have when you're doing these sorts of layouts, and you can want to build some interest to the actual flat layout. You can build it up by adding that ink styling. So I'm just laying out the balloons where I want them to lay. I have chosen the colours of Galinda and Alphaba, pink and the green, of course, because they are classic Wicked colours, and they marry beautifully with this paper range, and I'm glad that that's lifting those balloons up off that page just enough to give it a point of interest. So I'm just going to layer the last of these in and put them into place so that I can start constructing this layout. I did go into my design space on Cricut and just search for hot air balloons, and I was able to just get these ones. I backed the 3 with scrap leftovers. The one with the flowers, I've used the pink and I've used a darker green to give it the 2 different shades through the layout. That darker green is also the same colour that I've used to match the photo on the second level. So I'm tying all of those colours together and making the links so that they not stand alone but actually blend and complement each other nicely. Alright, so I'm just using some foam tape just to pop up some of them. I don't want them all to be popped up, I just want some. That allows for the interest off the page, adding dimension and shadows. And I know what that ink is. It's pine needles. Sorry about that. Couldn't even work out what it was. So it's pine needles. That's the one that I've used, at the Stress Oxide. I cut out the title as well on Feeling Wicked, which I have put through my Xyron sticker maker. That makes it so much easier when you're using pieces and putting them together. I have used leftover pieces, as I said, from my Boho collection, Boho Beauty. The vellum leaves are leftovers from a vellum sheet. These flowers I've cut out from a scrap leftover sheet, and so I've been able to build those up, and they're just scraps that are sitting in the pile, and this is a great way of using them up. I like the fact that I could fussy cut them and put them onto this layout as well and stretch that stash. It's a good way about looking at your scraps and thinking, how else can I use them? I fell in love with them once, I'm going to use them again on a layout and give them a new life. I'm really sorry about my throat, guys. It just keeps popping in and out as good. It dries out and then it gets worse. So I'm on the mend, but hopefully there won't be too many more videos before I'm back to normal. All right, I'm using this gold shimmer pen that I got from Uniquely Creative, and I'm just colouring in the darker greens here to give it a gold shimmer effect when it dries, and that allows that little sparkle for the magic of Wicked, and it's just easy to apply. The brush is actually quite wet, which is nice, and the glimmer is a little shimmer. You can't see it too well on this video, but it does actually do a sparkle. I just added in some shimmers there into the center of those flowers to add more glitter to the page. Using my white gel pen now, I'm just adding some highlights to the black on the balloons so that they have a 3D effect, and I lift it up off that background a little bit further. Now, I'm not very good at scattering sequins, sorry, mental block. Not very good at scattering the sequins. There are some people who are really, really clever at it, and it is something that I want to develop further. But at the moment, I've just put in my dots of glue so that I have little sprinklings of 3 in spots around the layout. Instead of using Nuvo drops, this time I chose to use the sequins in the shades of the pinks. And you can just see how that is adding that little bit of extra interest to the layout and a little bit of sparkle. So it's a pretty simple layout. It did use up a lot of scraps, which was really, really helpful. I like the fact that I can go back and use my scraps and clear them out. Better used on a layout than in the recycling bin or handing off. These are just different ways that you can put your scraps together to create a new and dynamic layout. So to finish it off, I'm just going to cover up my photo here, and I'm going to add some black splatters using the Distress ink spray from Dilutions, and I'm just putting that in a few spots around the layout, not too much, not to overpower it, but to just add a little bit of interest and fill in that messy media, mixed media background type effect on this layout. So I'm glad that you stayed through to watch this video. I'm hoping that there's something here that inspires you to get out your mixed media, your scraps, and create a layout that represents a special moment for you and your family. Remember, there is a full playlist down below. You can see here how that has all layered up and come together. As I said, all of this is scrap. The only thing that's not is that base page. The rest is all come from leftovers that I've used and have sitting in my pile. More gone out of my stash, back onto a layout, another page in my album. And I really am impressed with how this turned out. And thanks again, Helen Ding, for your inspiration. I really am grateful for having watched your video and seeing your balloon take on Wicked. So that's where the idea came from. Thank you very much for watching. Happy scrapping till next time, and here's my next video recommendation for you. Don't forget to use those scraps. Thanks for watching, everyone. Happy scrapping till next time, and here's my next recommendation if you're interested in more. See you soon.